Welcome to Replenish the Atmosphere of Discovery, where we discover the Master's plan for our lives. Today's session is on unprocessed pain. Unprocessed pain. So, unprocessed, it means not analyzed, not acknowledged, or gone through some sort of procedure or process towards a resolution. Okay. So, no matter how far down you repress it or suppress it, it will always surface because it has not been analyzed, it has not been acknowledged, or it has not gone through some sort of procedure or process towards a resolution. Okay. And it may not resurface in the same way that it was received, right? So, an emotional pain, which is dealing with relationships and feelings, can resurface as a physical issue, right? And a mental pain, which is your thoughts and your behaviors, can resurface as a financial issue, right? So on and so forth. So, it will always resurface, but it may not resurface in the same way that it was received. Okay. Painful thoughts that cause you to behave a certain way reveals the mental strain you are under. Okay. Painful feelings that cause you to repeat the cycle of staying in painful relationships, right? That reveals the emotional distress you're in. And physical pain that cause you to resort to using and abusing different substances and vices, legal and illegal, right? They reveal the unprocessed physical issues that you have, okay? Lack of faith, perverted beliefs, and deception creates double-mindedness and reveal the spiritual turmoil and confusion you are in, okay? Every kind of pain or distress you may have, no matter what form it comes in, right? It must be addressed because it will not just go away on its own until you do something about it. You can repress it, you can suppress it, but it will always resurface, and it doesn't always resurface in the same form that it was received in. Okay. Pain has a way of eating through the best disguises, right? Your smile can easily fool a busy person, right? Your confidence, it can impress your friends and your family, but your pain cannot hide from God or those that discern your spirit. Okay. A human spirit that is in pain creates little prison cells in the different areas of their lives, right? They have these blockages in their memory and their focus because the brain is trying to bring up the source of that distress, right? So you end up suppressing the wrong things. And that's why you have those blockages in your memory and your focus, right? Because your brain is trying to tell you, hey, something's wrong, and so you're suppressing that, but it ends up suppressing other things that you're supposed to remember, right? Like getting your keys, getting your phone, making a left when you're supposed to, make a right, feeding your children, feeding your animals. Okay. Even in your conversations, unprocessed pain causes you to listen to respond versus listening to participate and actively engage in a healthy conversation, right? So that pain of rejection lets you only listen in defense mode so that you can control the conversation and argue your point, right? This also causes you to interrupt people often, okay, and say harmful things so that you can do the rejecting first. Not that the person has done anything or said anything wrong, just the unprocessed pain from your rejected soul has refused to allow you to listen and hear, to have a productive dialogue. Okay. Pain has a way of causing you to premeditate and anticipate reactions and responses. Pain, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Pain has a way of causing you to premeditate and anticipate people's reaction and responses, right? You use your imagination to create scenarios and stories that are perceived from that pain, not from your wholeness. Okay. Your outlook about the world and those participating in your world are slaves to your painful perceptions. Okay. Your world and the people that participate in your world are slaves to your painful perceptions. You don't really know your world in its pure form, right? Which means you can't truly enjoy it or the people in it because you have a pain perception. Okay. People on the outside, right, can tell you how blessed, how beautiful, how intelligent you are, but your pain won't allow you to receive it, right? As a matter of fact, you probably have problems receiving anything except more pain, right? Because that's what you're familiar with. That's the only way that you see the world. And that's where those self sabotaging behaviors come in. Self sabotaging behaviors like procrastination, procrastinating until you miss deadlines, right? Creating unnecessary damage to your spirit, to your body, impulsive thoughts, actions, and words that cause damage to your character and causes people to see you in a different light. These are self-sabotaging behaviors, but that's not who you are, okay? That's the response of that unprocessed pain. So now you're acting out its emotions instead of your own, okay? So you have to break those agreements with the repressed trauma. Exit those places where your mind has tucked away those painful memories, hoping that you will forget. Remember the difference between repression and suppression. In repression, you are unconsciously blocking certain thoughts or impulses, right? But with suppression, you are voluntarily blocking it. Okay. Either way, your brain does not forget. Okay. It'll repress it or suppress it, but it won't forget it. Okay. So you have to start by processing those suppressed issues, right? The ones that you purposely avoid. Break those unhealthy agreements that put you in a state of detriment and destruction mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, right? Avoidance is anytime that you anticipate a painful or unpleasant conversation or feeling or situation, you flee. That's avoidance. And we don't want to continue avoiding and not processing the pain, right? When you want to isolate and self medicate with unhealthy things, stop agreeing to do it, right? And choose a better option, okay? It's not going to be what you want to do, right? But until you're healthy, it's going to be what you have to do for your mind's sake, for your emotional well being, for your spiritual well being, right? Trauma's characteristics are fear, terror, and torment. Trauma's characteristics are fear, terror, and torment. And one of the solutions to ending fear is obtaining knowledge and understanding of the unknown. Sometimes you just have to be okay with not knowing. Okay. A solution to eliminating terror is establishing safety. Find safe people, right? Safe places, safe thoughts, safe feelings. That would eliminate the terror. And a solution to breaking torment is creating or finding joy. Okay. Choosing to be happy, choosing to have joy and find joy, right? Because joy can override any physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional anguish and turmoil. And make sure that it's true joy, not just happiness, right? Because happiness is fleeting, happiness is temporary, happiness depends on what you feel in that moment, it depends on your circumstances in that moment. But joy is an emotion that is heartfelt, right? And you feel it regardless of what's going on around you. Have you ever been in pain, right? And you saw something funny or you saw something really encouraging that you felt deep in your soul, like something that really gave you joy in your heart? It's really hard to feel both the pain and the joy at the same time, right? So find joy, right? To break the power of that torment, okay? Recognize and begin processing any painful memories. Okay. Painful, sad memories are stored information in your mind, and it includes flashbacks, it includes intrusive memories, right? These memories will constantly replay in your mind and cause you to relive those feelings as if you're still present in that moment. Okay. And some of you are still stuck at that day. You're stuck at those moments and you haven't been able to see your life past that memory. And these painful memories, these are invisible burdens and they will show up physically, right? Recognize and diagnose the roots of your physical pain, your emotional pain, your mental pain, your spiritual pain. And there's even phantom pain. Some of you are experiencing illusions of pain, right? Things that did not really hurt you emotionally, but it's what you've taken on because of your family background, right? Stories that you've heard from other people. You've ever had something that really didn't bother you that much until somebody else put their imagination and their unprocessed pain into your experience? Has it ever happened to you? Right? Now you're hurt, right? And some of you may be packing around that transferred pain, somebody else's painful perception, right? Think about what you felt in the beginning before you told someone this, and they attach their imagination to it, attach their unhealed thoughts and feelings to it, and now you feel what they felt when originally it was something that you could move on from, right? If you have the diagnosis of your physical pain, you can't pray it away and still do the things that was causing the pain in the first place, right? If your headaches are stress related, praying about it does nothing if you won't stop stressing, right? If the pain is due to lack of mobility, right? Praying and sitting there is not going to work. You have to get up and start exercising, right? We have to stop praying for stuff that we don't want to do. That's not how that works. If you have the ability to think differently, if you have the ability to take action, to move, you cannot pray because you don't feel like moving, because you don't feel like taking action, right? Before you pray, decide in your mind that when God takes this pain away, you're going to do whatever it takes to stay whole, to keep that healing, right? God has healed a lot of people and they end up making it worse and being in a worse state than they were before they were healed because they doubled down on the thing that caused the pain in the first place, right? And this goes for all areas: physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, even financially, right? God will give you a financial breakthrough and you go right back to the same habits and end right back up in debt, right? Why did you pray? If you were not going to do what you needed to do to stay free, to stay whole, to stay healed, to stay out of that pain, right? Emotional and mental pain will often mask itself as anger, fear, and frustration. Emotional and mental pain will often mask itself as anger, fear, and frustration. Okay. A lot of angry people have unprocessed pain and fear. Okay. And when you start learning to manage your emotions by managing your thoughts, you don't respond so quickly to people's angry words and actions, right? Because you understand it's not even personal. That person is just in pain, or that person is afraid, right? How many times have you lashed out at the wrong time on unsuspecting people, right? That's the emotional impact of carrying that invisible burden, right? The physical effects look like unknown diagnosis of chronic pain, right? The doctors can't find the source. And I heard someone say that what the mind cannot contain, it imposes upon the body, right? So you deciding not to deal with your pain mentally or emotionally will eventually cause it to try and tell you through your physical body. So if you're not recognizing the signs mentally or emotionally that there's some pain here, it will impose it upon your body until you pay attention. Okay. Disappointment and hopelessness can cause emotional pain. Disappointment and hopelessness can cause emotional pain. And that's why we have to process what we feel. We have to pay attention to the way that we are thinking. Go through it, right? Get to the other side. Make sure you're not staying in it. Make sure you're not repressing it and suppressing it, right? Rejection. Rejection causes you to preserve yourself from pain, from that pain of disappointment and hopelessness by running away, by not setting boundaries, right? By not doing things that will bring about any form of criticism, right? Rejection causes pain. Okay. So you have to acknowledge the rejection and the feelings associated with it, right? Then focus on how you will remove rejection's ability to continue to influence your life, right? Rejection can be real, imagined, or remembered. So for you to successfully stay in a group of people who reject you, that means that you are agreeing with them. That means that you have rejected yourself, right? And if you don't agree, then change the group that you desire to be accepted by, right? Those painful memories that you have bring about discouragement, right? You can't ignore when these things are triggered. Start addressing those unwanted thoughts before you start feeling something. Address those unwanted thoughts, right? When those thoughts are misguided and left unmanaged, you will continue to be discouraged, which cause emotional pain, right? Talk to somebody, pray with somebody. If it is something that you don't see yourself managing on your own, call someone else in, right? Your inability to get over something or through something is causing your frustration. So give it to someone that can help you process it, okay, effectively. Because you have some people that will egg you on and put you in even further emotional distress, right? Any distressing experience in your life that can cause your brain to recall that moment at random times, this means that it is a psychological wound that needs to be repaired in order for you to function normally. And by normally, I mean God's design. I don't mean the way that the world functions, okay? Because there's a very clear difference, right? We want to function in the way that God designed these minds and these bodies and these spirits to function. Trauma is stored in your mind as visual images and sensory fragments, right? And that means that any of your five senses can pick up on something that triggers your brain to recall that moment, right? It's never going to go away until you deal with it. You can repress it, you can suppress it, you can push it down, not remember it consciously, but it will always resurface. And it may not resurface in the way that it was received to you, right? Pain is an occurrence in every one of our lives, and it can overrule our innate desire to push forward, right? Some people are fueled by pain, and then you have some people who are paralyzed by it, like it completely stops them from moving forward, right? Some people spend so much time trying to measure pain instead of processing it. They're trying to see how bad is it, right? They want people to agree with them with how bad is it as worse as it was last time, right? You want to try to measure your pain against what you feel you deserve, right? You may even try to measure it against how someone else experienced it, right? We all have some sort of pain to process, right? Pain is the consequence of living in an imperfect temporal world. You cannot measure pain. You can only feel it, right? Why? Because everybody's pain tolerance is different. And this isn't just true physically, this is true emotionally and mentally. What may feel like a 10 to me may be a 2 to you. It don't affect you that much, right? And some things that are a 2 to me could kill you, right? You cannot measure pain. You can only feel it, experience it, process it, and then move forward. So stop trying to measure how bad is it, or how bad is it going to get, or how bad is it going to be, right? You can only feel it. You can't measure it, because the perception is based on each person individually. Wickedness and sin causes pain, okay? That's why we should repent. Some of your pain stem from blatant disobedience to God, right? You don't need a pill, you just need to repent. God, forgive me, right? And you'll find that some of those pains that you're experiencing will lift off of you, okay? And so we also have to be careful with those emotions like anger and grief, right? Because these can grow into physical heartache and pain, right? Couples, friends, and family members that grow together, have been together for a long time, they often die around the same time from a broken heart, right? Anger can rest in your heart and cause a heart attack, right? If you don't deal with the pain behind that anger, right? Deal with the pain behind that grief, right? And you also have to be mindful of what is really a wound and what are just pains from a familiar influence, right? Your influences, what you see, what you hear, what you feel from other people can appear to be inflicting you, right? Intentionally, right? Because the enemy of your soul knows that you have an unhealed wound that was left unaddressed. So what happens when you keep picking at a scab, right? And it keeps reopening and bleeding all over again? You lose blood, right? And then if an infection get in there and your blood gets infected, it can affect your organs, right? And cause you to die. So why are you allowing yourself to continue to invite these familiar influences in to pick at a wound that you know you have not processed? Right? And I'm talking about those familiar people that keep bringing it up, but they're not offering any solutions, right? That music that keeps reminding you of that wound, those movies that put you back in that place as if it's just happened, right? These are influences that it's just picking at the scab and not letting it heal, okay? What you see or hear that looks or sounds familiar, it fits into the cycle that you were used to. So it's easy for that pain to get an agreement to enter your thoughts, right? You start by managing your thoughts, right? And then the feelings follow, and then the emotions follow. Okay. So that's why we have to be healed from the past so that those wounds won't look like the pain inflicted by something familiar or a familiar spirit, right? If they can get the real wound to stay unhealed, they can inflict you and blame the person connected to the real wound, right? And we don't want to go into unforgiveness, right? So it's important that we heal from those past wounds, not continue to do things, watch things, listen to people that continue to pick at the scab. You want to completely heal from that before introducing those influences that will continue to cause you to bleed, okay? And sometimes we don't receive revelations of things because the unhealed version of us will misinterpret it, right? Or act prematurely, or even worse, move completely off course based off of our feelings, based off of our unhealed feelings, right? Because we're seeing it through, okay, unprocessed pain. So pain can also stem from you punishing yourself, right? Because of feelings of shame and emotional guilt. Some of you are not even aware of that you feel pain in your heart because somewhere there's some emotional guilt there. You don't even know why. You don't know where it comes from because you didn't process it. You didn't address what you felt when you felt it, right? You haven't forgiven yourself, even though God has, right? Let the shame and the guilt go. There's no condemnation for those that are in Christ. Okay. Don't hold grudges against yourself, living with that unresolved guilt or spending years afraid to be vulnerable. That might be the source of your pain. Okay. You don't want to wait until you're on your deathbed to give or receive love and forgiveness from yourself and other people, right? That seems to be the time and space, the appointed time, right? Where we want to give love or give forgiveness or receive it. Let's not wait because you're wasting time. You don't want to wait until right before you're on your way out, before you actually have gotten to experience the life that was already predestined for you. Okay. So your recovery is progress. Okay. Recovery is progress. Even if it feels painful, it's improvement. Okay. When you're overcoming the effects of pain, stress, and fear, it doesn't feel good because your body has been used to managing what it hasn't been created to suffer through for long periods of time, right? So your body is used to managing itself being in pain. Okay. So while you're trying to regulate and manage the pain, you're trying to live with it instead of processing it and get through it. You were considering it normal when your body was trying to inform you that this isn't what it was created for. I'm not created to operate like this, right? I'm not created to suffer through this. Okay. And that's why it feels like pulling teeth, trying to get back to your original design. You're stepping out of one reality, one world into another one, right? From one mindset to another one, right? And it's even forcing the chemicals, the neurons in your body to do a 180 and not go the normal path, right? But now go against and resist the path that you have gotten it used to. Okay. So your recovery isn't just mental, it is emotional, it is spiritual. Okay. There are physical changes that are happening in the chemistry of your body as you heal. The result of you fully processing your pain is lower blood pressure, right? Peace among your organs and its cellular processes, okay? Regular intestinal functions, right? Release of those muscles, that muscle tension and those bone aches, okay? Your recovery will change your body systems when you begin to process your pain, when you begin to process all of the things, your thoughts and your feelings, okay? So start taking responsibility for your own thoughts and actions. Start taking responsibility for your own feelings. If other people don't take responsibility for the pain that they've caused you, that's their burden to carry. That's their guilt, right? Their shame. That's their harvest on what they've sown in your life. But you take responsibility for your own healing, okay? Get out of their fields, picking up their transferred pain, because that's all it is, right? You're picking up their anger, their resentment, their rejection, their hopelessness, right? That's not the life that you are supposed to be experiencing, okay? Pain is revealing that there is disobedience in your mind, your body, your soul, or your spirit, right? It's a warning system. It's an alert, right? Your joints are disobeying God's order. Your bones, your muscles are disobeying the order God gave it to work a certain way, right? Your thoughts are in disobedience to what God said you should be thinking about, right? Your emotions and your feelings are in disobedience when it should be in agreement with the peace that you're supposed to be having, right? Now, you can be the cause of that disobedience. And if you are the cause of it, just stop, right? It can be your family, your bloodline, your friends, people you've connected with that just by your agreement with their influence causes your thoughts to be in disobedience, right? We must be realigned, reformed, replenished, right? Back to God's design daily. It is daily, right? That you are presented with the opportunity that you may take on pain. What do you do with it? Do you repress it, suppress it, just push it way, way down and forget about it? Not realizing that your brain doesn't forget. Your body's not going to forget. It doesn't forget. Okay. Address the pain. Start the process of sorting through your feelings, relating to your experience. Coming to terms with them truthfully. Don't lie to yourself. If it hurt, it hurt. Lying to yourself doesn't make it right. It's still unprocessed, right? Grieve your losses to allow your lenses to change, to allow your views to change, to allow your perception to change so that you can see with healed eyes, right? See the world, your world, from a healed perspective, right? That anger will subside, the fears, the anxieties, right? The hopelessness, the disappointments. You must be willing to make the exchange for peace, balance, harmony, and wholeness. right? And it may be scary if you've never experienced peace. If you don't know what it feels like to be whole, it's going to be scary because it's an unknown feeling, right? But just because you haven't known it doesn't mean it won't be beautiful, okay? So, process the things, the memories, the experiences that have caused you pain. It could be from the rejection is a big thing that causes pain mentally, physically, and emotionally, right? It kind of attacks every area, financially too, right? Because you can control your spending, you're not going to reject yourself. So it causes your spending to be out of control, right? So rejection is a big one you need to deal with. You know if you feel rejected, and even if you don't know, I'm telling you what the cause of it is, right? So if that's something in you, process it. Process the feeling surrounding it, surrounding the experience that as far back as you can remember being rejected. And as I stated in some of the other sessions, some of us was rejected from the womb. And we don't think as mothers sometimes, or even as fathers, that rejecting the sex of your baby, the baby feels that, right? So some children come out of the womb rejected, and we have to deal with it. And they don't know why they feel that way, right? Deal with those feelings, deal with those thoughts. And when children are rejected from the womb, they don't know why they're like that. So all of the labels that you're putting on them is really your fault because you rejected them, right? So you have to nurture them from a loving space, a place of acceptance, right? If you are a parent that rejected your child and they're acting out and you don't know why, and it's stemming from rejection, you have to nurture them as if they are a baby because the adult one has no clue what that is, right? You don't nurture them as an adult, you nurture them as a baby, okay? So I hope that this enlighten you on a lot of things, what unprocessed pain does, what it looks like, how it is impacting your life right now. And I pray that God will reveal to you the methods and the ways and give you the strength to fully process it, go through it, and allow it to become a testimony and not just something that keeps testing you and keep triggering you. Okay, so that concludes our session for today. I am praying for all of you, both individually and collectively, that you reach the point where you can truly be who God designed you to be, and you begin to operate and move the way that He designed us to move. God bless.